USCHO.com. This is the USCHO Spotlight, a weekly podcast from U.S. College Hockey Online at USCHO.com, featuring conversations with college hockey coaches and players and journalists who cover the sport.
Welcome to USCHO Spotlight for February 13th, 2019. I'm Ed Trefzger alongside Jim Connelly. This episode is sponsored by the NCAA Frozen Four coming up on April 11th and 13th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo. Visit ncaa.com/Frozen4. Jim, one of the up-and-coming teams with a great history of success is Lake Superior State.
And we are joined now by the head coach of Lake Superior State. That's Damon Witten. And Damon, a nice little run your team is on here in the second half. You seem to be in the groove at the right time in the season.
Yeah, it's been a pretty solid season altogether, and like you said, a good little run starting with the actually I guess just before the Great Lakes Invitational, we went down and played the U.S. national program, kind of to not have such a long break, and had a real good win. And I think right after that they went out and beat St. Cloud and Duluth, and so a real good team down there, and it was a good win for us and kind of gave us some energy going into the break, and then certainly to come out and win the Great Lakes Invitational, which with the Bean Pot just wrapping up last night here, one of the top tournaments in the country, along with the Bean Pot, is the Great Lakes Invitational. So that was a big moment for us, and I think we've believed in ourselves all season long. We've had some real good wins, going down to Bowling Green, beating Michigan early, a couple of close losses in the first half against Minnesota State, but we like our team. The team believes in each other, and those things are all kind of coming together in the second half. So it's been a pretty good run. I'm not sure. I think bye weeks, you never quite know what you're getting out of it, but we're coming off a bye week, and Michigan Tech's coming off a tremendous series versus Minnesota State. So, we've got to be ready Friday, and that's really been our approach, is take it day by day and game by game. And so we're looking forward to this Friday's opportunity against Michigan Tech.
As you mentioned, a pretty solid season all around. You started out 5-0, and you had a couple of hiccups in the middle. A loss to Michigan, then a loss against Alaska, Bowling Green, then 3 in a row. So there were some stumbles. But now that you're back on track, do you feel that things have changed? Is this more just a maturing of a team, or is there actually some things that have changed within the locker room, within the team?
Yeah, I think it's some of both. You mentioned the maturing aspect of it. When we came in 5 years ago, our seniors are having a good year. There's been a lot of recognition for them, and rightfully so. They've been tremendous for us. But when we came in a few years back, those guys played huge minutes for us early on. We didn't have a lot of depth, maybe a lot of high-end talent, and we're down a little bit as a program, and a real proud program. So it was tough, but those guys played a lot for us early on. Last year, a couple of key injuries to some young defensemen, which allowed our even younger defensemen to play a ton of hockey. So we've certainly matured, and part of that is because of the situation we were in, having to play young guys, matching up against whoever we were playing, our freshmen, our sophomores against junior, seniors. And so that's paying big dividends now here in year 5. And then, like you said, our culture has changed. And again, a real credit to our seniors, our upperclassmen. We've got a really talented team. We're one of the highest scoring teams in the country. We're also one of the top defensive teams, or top 20. And, it's a good talent mix, a good group. But more importantly, our locker room is so strong. Guys hold each other accountable. It's a real strong culture. We've gone through a lot of things. Again, pretty solid season overall. Not a ton of adversity on the ice. A small streak, as you mentioned there. But we've lost a couple parents to our players and had some other hardships that we've gone through off the ice. And these guys have really taken care of each other and love each other, and again, show up to get better every single day. So it's been a tremendous job by upperclassmen to lead us in this direction.
You mentioned your seniors and even your upperclassmen, I guess, when it comes to this. But 3 guys that have been solid players for you, but taken a bigger step forward. Diego Kujleta, Anthony Nellis, Max Humitz. Those 3 guys all seem to be getting to that next level offensively. What do they mean to your team night in, night out?
Yeah, well, obviously it's a team game and everyone's important. And they've, one of the differences this year is, when Diego came in, when Gage Terrell, another one of our seniors, Anthony Nellis, they had to be those guys as freshmen, and that's not easy to do. You guys watch, enough that not many young guys can come in and lead the team. Now you can put them on a good roster and surrounded by some talent and some depth and some experience, and they can have great freshman years. And then we really didn't have that luxury until now. So their growth has been tremendous. Diego's second in the country in goals right now. The second half, he's been unbelievable. Anthony Nellis was that guy the first half. He's still playing well, coming off a 5-point weekend last weekend. But they've really led our team. Max Humitz, had good production his first couple of years as a junior. He's continued that. He's one of those young men we mentioned. He lost his father right after the Great Lakes Invitational, going through a real personal hardship and personal tragedy, and he's continued to play at a really high level. So it's been good to see from those individuals, but it's certainly much more than those guys. Guys like Gage Terrell, another one of our few seniors, doesn't get as much publicity, but he's been tremendous for us. He's moved to center this year after playing wing the first couple of years. Nick Kossoff is one of our 4 seniors in net. He's had a very good year in net for us. And, it's been great to see those guys kind of stick with the plan and believe and buy in, and to see those efforts paying off now.
You just mentioned Nick Kossoff, and him and a member of the All Names team, Marek's Mittens, in net. A 1-2 combo. How do you kind of manage that and know who's the right person to put in the net each night? Because it does seem, even to this point in the season, that there's some alternating at times going on.
Yeah, we started the year, really a heavy alternation. Nick played every Friday, Marek played every Saturday. I think early, Marek's numbers were starting to kind of jump up a little bit, and then we were maybe leaning that route. And then Nick, as the senior and the experienced guy, really went on a great run. And so Nick played a lot of games in a row. Zach Sizek's our assistant coach. He came from Notre Dame. He worked with Cale Morris last year, along with Coach Jackson and that staff. But Zach's done a tremendous job with our goalies, not only day to day, in preparation and practice, but the mental side of it, of handling starts and maybe not starting. And, we wanted to keep Nick fresh down the stretch run. So Marek's got a couple more opportunities to get back in there. Certainly with the travel in our league, you want to be careful of that fatigue and keeping guys fresh. And when Marek's went back in, he played so well that he earned more starts and more starts. So it's been a real healthy competition. Both guys are world-class individuals. Nick was recently nominated for the Hockey Humanitarian Award, the 3.9 student, just tremendous people, tremendous work ethic between the two. And so it's a real deep position for us, and we can go to either guy in a given night and have a chance to win.
We're speaking with Lake Superior State head coach Damon Whitten. You're in a coaching position that has had some pretty big names in it before. People know Rick Comley, Ron Mason, Jeff Jackson, but you've also had the opportunity to be coached by or work alongside Rick Comley and Ron Mason, some more current names people know, Mel Pearson, people will remember Bill Wilkinson. What have you learned along the way, going back from your playing days to now, from some coaches who are so highly respected and successful?
Yeah, well, we probably don't have enough time for that. And, as you mentioned, it started with playing for Coach Mason, down at Michigan State. And we had my class ended up being one of the all-time winningest classes through there. It was a laboratory of hockey. Coach Mason's preparation, his details, we're just tremendous, and I, always regret not having a chance to work alongside him. When I finally went back and started coaching, he'd moved up to the athletic director position. And then I was under their Coach Comley on 2 different staffs at 2 different times in my career. And Coach Comley, again, another, obviously multiple national championships, one of the greatest coaches in college hockey, and, very, very different approaches in a lot of ways, as much as, Coach Mason had so much structure, and really we all looked at Coach Mason when we went through hard times. And Coach Comley had a little bit different approach that worked, equally well, in that he had his players much more, holding that room together and taking accountability. And so I think I, learned a real good balance between those two guys, and kind of try to meet in the middle of there in terms of, running that locker room, but having players take ownership and players hold each other accountable. So those two guys were tremendous. Bill Wilkinson, what was great for me as well, longtime Western Michigan coach, and I worked with him at Wayne State. And Wilkie just had a tremendous personality, a great way to relate to players. I think that's one thing we've worked hard on as a staff, and I guess for me, transitioning from an assistant coach to head coach, developing deeper and better relationships with our players. It's a different role when you put that head coach hat on. And I think that's, paying off a little bit this year, that, we're relating to our players at a much more personal level and building better relationships with them as well.
When you look at different techniques, different styles of coaching, there are some things that are timeless, but certainly there are other things in the game and in how coaching has to approach the game that have changed maybe over the last couple of decades since your time as a player. How are things different now? What are some things that you have to do as a coach now that maybe Ron didn't have to do with you guys 20 years ago?
Yeah, no, and I think you hit on part of that. What was the relationships? And Coach Mason has been around so long. It wasn't like you were going to walk in and question Coach Mason, and just, a real respect for sure, but more the authoritarian, you didn't back then, you didn't get answers to why we're doing things or pull guys aside and talk to them. I was an assistant captain there and, loved my time there, but the game has changed. Today kids need to know a little bit more about why we're doing things or, the reasoning behind, decisions of whether it's structure or, practice schedules, things like that. So I think that's probably one of the biggest ones is the way I think student athletes can be just as competitive and just as hard, and that's a really healthy thing for our game. But I do think the way we relate to them, the way we interact with them has evolved and grown. I think that's a good thing for our sport. So that's one of the big things. And then with trends of the game, you kind of mentioned, and I kind of forgot to mention this last time, but Coach Pearson was tremendous for that at Michigan Tech. We took that program from, I think, 6 wins, the number 1 team in the country in a few short years. And, Coach Pearson was on top of it. Came from Michigan. He wanted to play up tempo. He wanted to play with skill. It was skill throughout the entire lineup, where probably a lot of my past was our third, fourth line, where maybe you try to get a couple minutes a night out of them and just be net neutral there, don't get scored against and don't push it. And I think Mel's philosophy of speed and depth and skill throughout the lineup is really, did a ton of great things for our program at Michigan Tech. And we're starting to see that here a little bit at Lake State now, again, being one of the highest scoring teams in the nation and having guys like Diego, second in the country in goals. Colin Sockman, one of our defensemen, has 9 goals. I think it's top 5. Our D-core is one of the highest scoring D-cores in the nation. So that was a big influence on me as well. I went from one of the best defensive coaches all time in Coach Mason and this Michigan State tree to this Michigan kind of tree, what Red, Coach Berenson, and what Mel built at Michigan and kind of brought to Michigan Tech. And that was, really eye-opening for me and helped me evolve as a coach.
Your roster includes players from the U.S., Canada, and Europe. I want to talk specifically about the U.S. players. Have you seen an impact on recruits and on development from USA Hockey's American development model and how youth hockey has progressed in the U.S.?
Yeah, I think it's, still a little bit new. Obviously, the age we're dealing with and the ADM is maybe just starting to hit that a little bit. But I think it's going to be great. I have a 7-year-old and I coach, I'm on the ice helping out with our youth programs here in Sault Ste. Marie. And, I think there's a lot of pushback early on. And now anywhere you go, you see the station-based model, the skill development model. And I think it's going to pay tremendous dividends. It's starting to more and more, and I think it's just going to keep growing. So our base is in really good shape right here in Sault Ste. Marie, but across North America, these new areas of development where in the past you didn't see kids from, some of the Floridas and the Californias, things like that. So these new areas of growth are tremendous. And I think our game's in a really healthy spot, and I think we're all really excited about that.
Are you using some of the small area practice drills in your game?
No question. I mean, at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. Our structure typically after a warm-up drill or two in a stretch, we get right into a small area game. And, if you can't play in tight areas, if you can't process the game in a real blink of an eye there, you're really going to have struggle to play at this level and in higher levels. Certainly our guys aspire to be pros, and things happen quicker up there with shorter windows of decision making and abilities to make plays. So we're big believers in small area games and that type of development model, and we use them daily in practice.
We'll have more with Lake Superior State coach Damon Witten in just a moment. First, a word from the NCAA Frozen Four, April 11th and 13th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo.
Speed and precision, unrelenting power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The 2019 NCAA Frozen Four, April 11th and 13th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo.
With a shot, saved by Morris. Takes the shot,
Visit ncaa.com/Frozen4 and get your tickets today.
This is USCHO Spotlight, and we're joined by Damon Witten from Lake Superior State. And Damon, I have never been to the UP of Michigan, and I hear, it's a different life up there. It's a different culture, kind of. You're recruiting players into that area, which, from what I can tell far away, seems to be a hockey hotbed. They like their hockey up there, the fans, and the atmosphere that's created. What is it like to try to recruit into the UP of Michigan?
Yeah, well, first of all, you got to get up here. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world, and Lake Superior is just incredible, and I've been at two of the UP schools, so it's an amazing place to live and raise family and get student athletes too. But you know what? Everybody has different challenges in the recruiting game. Whether you're Boston College or Lake Superior, we all face different challenges, and ours certainly. If you want to live in a city of 300,000, or you want to be in a big city, we're not going to probably target you, and you're not going to be happy here. So, we definitely try to do our legwork beforehand to find guys that are fit. Not that everybody has to be in the fishing and outdoors, but there's certainly opportunities that way. And you hit it as well. This is hockey heaven up here. Every you go drive through our neighborhood, there's 6 rinks and backyards. You drive, I can look across the river and see where the Sioux Greyhounds play in the OHL. You walk around campus, everybody knows you're a hockey player, and those are pretty positive things in most areas. So it is. Hockey's a way of life up here, and, we wouldn't change it. We love it. It's not for everybody, and that's fine. We don't need everybody to want to come here. We can find the right student athletes that fit what we're looking to do in terms of academics, community. But again, this is a hockey way of life here, and it's a great place to be.
Taking a look at the remainder of your slate, and only 6 regular season games left, but it begins this week with Michigan Tech as you come off your bye week. But I look at the standings, and maybe I don't think any team likes to concede, but you got to say that Minnesota State has a pretty healthy lead at this point. But everybody else, Bowling Green, Northern Michigan, yourselves, Bemidji, Michigan Tech, what a little cluster that has become in the standings of how tight those teams are, and the kind of the battle for second place, fourth place in a home ice spot, having to go on the road. All those things are up for grabs in these next few weeks.
Yeah, it's incredible to see how tight it is, and there was a while where Bowling Green had separated themselves for a little bit, and then they've been caught a little bit or tightened back up, and it was an interesting weekend. Got some recruiting done, but certainly watching scores and standings shift as you're on your off week, and teams are catching up and their games are in hand. So it's tight. Every game is so difficult. You mentioned we had a little skid early on in the year where, we weren't off. We had Minnesota State came in. They were top 5 in the country, top 6 when they came in here. Good series. Michigan was up to our place during the year, and we had a good win Friday and lost to them Saturday. So every game is so important, and, you have to be prepared. We haven't spent much time talking about pairwise or NCAA tournament, things like that, or league championships. We're just trying to prepare for Friday night and put our best team on the ice, be ready to win a hockey game. We've done a real good job with that. Again, our players have been really the driving force of that. The accountability within our locker room is outstanding. They show up ready to practice, ready to play. And that's it. You just got to control what you can control and be ready to win a game Friday night. If you don't do that, you're going to get passed. And if you do that, you kind of control your own destiny and can have a good finish here.
You'll be at home on Friday and Saturday this week, and home the final weekend of the series, the season. You got a road weekend in there. Your team, maybe a little bit of an abnormality, a really good team away from home this year. 12-2 on the road. You've thrown those neutral games in the GLI. 14-2 away from home. What is it about the road that your team seems to relish?
Yeah, well, I wish we knew, because if we did it, we knew we do it at home. You said the best road record in the country. I don't think we've won a home Saturday game yet this year, so it's been frustrating and challenging. Again, part of that's credit to the teams like Michigan and then Minnesota State. We dropped one to Fairbanks. Thought we played really well against Northern Michigan, and Antti Tolvanen was unbelievable that night. So we haven't been bad or off in all those games. 1 or 2, you're going to have an off night, and that happens. But, again, on the road, it's just our leadership group has had us prepared to be ready to play, and we'd like to match that at home. You mentioned we've got 6 games left, 4 at home, 2 on the road. And if we want to finish, up high, second place, third place, we have to win at home on Saturday night. So, we'll worry about Friday night and then reevaluate it. We've shifted some things, but on the road, we've just shown up. It's been again, going back to Coach Pearson and the way he's built teams at Michigan Tech and Michigan, we're trying to build a team full of speed, skill, and depth. And I think this year, it's been really important to us to winning those road games. You don't get the matchups, but we've been able to roll out almost any line and not worry too much about matchups on the road and come out with wins. So we'd like to continue that and do a better job at home.
Well, it will begin 2 games at home against Michigan Tech this Friday and Saturday night for Lake Superior State. Damon Whitten, thanks for joining us, and obviously best of luck the rest of the way. It sounds like it's going to be a thrilling ride for the next 3 weekends.
Well, it's going to be unbelievable to watch this finish in WCHA and across college hockey, and I appreciate you guys having me on. It's great to get on and talk Laker hockey, and thank you. Go Lakers.
Jim, it's hard not to get enthused about Lake Superior State hockey when you talk to Damon Whitten.
He's got a lot of energy. A good young coach that has put in his time as a great assistant with some unbelievable role models of head coaches, and now as a head coach, he's done a great job of, as he mentioned, kind of building a different type of program, trying to build a program that has the depth at all positions, and they're doing that successfully. And I'm happy to see Lake Superior State ranked again, back on the map, because I remember the days when the national championship basically went through Sault Ste. Marie, because Jeff Jackson had his team in that title game almost every year.
And you go back through the history of Lake Superior State, certainly those highs with guys like Jeff Jackson and Ron Mason and Rick Comley, but also some lows in between. And it's got to feel good up there in the UP to have Lake State doing well.
He made a good point that I do need to get up there. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's one of those places that you hear about it almost as like folklore in a way if you don't live near there. But you know that the one thing they love up there is hockey, and it's played for a good 6+ months a year. He talks about all the outdoor rinks and frozen ponds and all of that sort of stuff. That's true hockey culture. That's true hockey community, and for them to be rewarded with a successful team has to be just wonderful.
That's it for USCHO Spotlight. For Jim Connelly, I'm Ed Trefzger, and we'll catch you next time.
This has been the USCHO Spotlight, a production of US College Hockey Online. Visit uscho.com/podcasts to listen or subscribe.